Dragovich. I am an actress, and here are 5 things I wish someone had told me when I was first getting started. Number 1, if you don't get hired for a role, it doesn't mean you aren't good enough. When we don't get cast in a role, it's really easy to go back in our minds and overanalyze every moment of our audition to try and pinpoint what went wrong. But it's quite possible that nothing went wrong. There are a lot of trivial reasons apart from your actual talent that influence whether or not you get cast. Maybe you look too similar to another actor they'd already hired for that production. Maybe you just didn't fit the mental image that the director had for a particular role. Or hey, maybe they were even thinking that you'd be better suited for a future project that they're working on. My point is that while it's important to reflect on how you can improve from one audition to the next, there are a lot of elements that are beyond your control that go into a casting decision. So obsessing over every last detail is not going to help you mentally, and it's not going to help you necessarily land the role next time. You cannot possibly know everything that's going on in any casting director's mind, so the best thing to do is just move on to the next opportunity and try not to put too many stakes on any single audition. Well, you might be saying, Anna, that is way easier said than done, and I know. When it really sunk in for me personally was when I got called back for a role where I had forgotten my monologue and started over 2 times and never finished the monologue. In my mind, I thought, okay, so if someone is willing to give me a second chance and then later hire me for that role, and other times when I've thought I've aced the audition but I never heard back from people, there must be a lot of other factors that I'm not seeing that are going into these casting decisions. So, while it is important to be prepared and put your best foot forward, it's also an important reminder that not getting the part is not a testament to your level of skill or your likability, because there are just many other factors at play. 2, submit to and audition for the same theaters, the same directors, and the same agencies as much as you can, without spamming them, of course. I now know that even Broadway stars have had to audition for the same directors up to 11 times before getting hired by them. But when I was starting out, I thought the way that it worked was that you would audition for a particular casting director one time, and then that was it. They know that you exist, and they will call you if they want to work with you at any point in the future. I was, of course, quite wrong about that, and I'm sure some of you are watching this and thinking, Anna, that is so silly, but I figured if I felt that way, I'm sure there are other actors out there that feel this way. Casting directors see so many actors on a day-to-day basis, and the best way to stick out in their minds is to build some familiarity. People usually don't hire you for a role the first time around because you're new to them, and they want to get more context as to what your personality is like, how you work, and how dedicated you are, and the way you can show them that is by continuing to audition for them. Use your better judgment, of course. There is a line between putting yourself out there and spamming people's inboxes, but don't be afraid to invite casting directors and other people you want to work with to your shows via mail or email, and attend open calls and specific auditions with an agency or film or theater company repeatedly over time, even if they didn't call you back for anything last season. Most agencies and companies will actually have guidance on their websites about how often it is appropriate to submit your materials to them or submit for an audition with them. They'll say something along the lines of, don't send our materials if you have done so within the past 6 months. So you can use their guidance to decide what's appropriate on a case-by-case basis. What people are looking for on their roster and in their casts evolves over time based on what projects they are working on. It's great to go back and show growth on your resume, present new audition materials, and demonstrate to them that you're working on your acting chops and that you're still interested in working with them. Pretty soon, you'll be hearing, "It's great to see you again," when you walk into that audition room, and that is a wonderful place to be. 3, your day job does not have to be your enemy. Find one that you like. I used to submit to the idea that the reality of being an actress was that I would just have to grin and bear a day job that I didn't like in order to survive until I made it as a full-time actress. I became a waitress because, as far as I knew, that's just what most actors did. While I would not trade that work experience even now, After a while, I just had to admit that for me personally, the cons of the job outweighed the perks, and I wasn't happy. I realized that while I had more time flexibility to go to auditions, I wasn't, because I just felt drained. When I finally decided to explore other options, I tried my hand at marketing. Before, I was convinced that accepting a 9-to-5 job would mean the death of my performance career, but actually, I found that I ended up being even more involved in the arts when I took this job, because I would leave at the end of my workday feeling happy and inspired rather than drained. Now, remote work is even more popular, of course, so in the end, who knows? Maybe I'll end up getting the best of both worlds. Flexible hours and a job that I like. My point is that we are all unique as actors and we are all unique as people, so naturally we will have a unique ideal day job. Just because a certain day job worked for one successful actor does not mean it will work for you, and that's okay. There are, of course, times in our lives where we will need to make sacrifices and accept a job that we don't really like in order to get by or in order to take advantage of a creative opportunity that we're interested in, but these kinds of jobs may not be sustainable in the long run. So explore your interests, develop that second skill set, and know that if a job isn't right for you or if it starts detracting from your performance career, you can just leave, because ultimately that isn't your major goal, right? It's to be a full-time performer. In the end, we will have to spend a lot of time at our day jobs. So if you're able, find something that brings you some joy and inspiration. Having a day job that crushes you emotionally can be just as damaging to your acting career as one that does not give you the flexibility to pursue it. Plus, I'm a firm believer that learning more about life makes you a better actor, so accumulating various day job experiences can also serve as some sort of acting training in a way. 4. What in the world are agencies, SAG-AFTRA, AGMA, and Actors Equity, and how and when do I join them? As a theater student, I heard the terms union, non-union, and agent thrown around a lot. And while I recognized that they were important concepts, no one ever sat me down and explained what they really meant. I knew that getting an agent and joining a union were things to aspire to, but I didn't understand why or how to get there. And ultimately, these concepts ended up seeming more important in my mind in order for me to succeed as an actor as they actually were. I felt like I couldn't find a comprehensive guide to these things. I just had to piece together bits of information from other people who were relatively more experienced than I, but still seemed pretty confused by these things. I finally feel like I have somewhat of a handle on how to go about getting an agent and how to go about joining the union and the benefits that that brings. But if I had some guidance sooner, it would have saved me a lot of grief and doubt. So it's too much to cover in this video, but if anyone else is feeling confused about these things, please reach out to me on Instagram and I would be happy to share with you everything I've learned thus far. And maybe I'll even come out with a guidance video myself, who knows. Number 5, and this one has made a huge difference for me in the past couple of years. Don't think logistics, just go for it. Many times I have talked my way out of even submitting for an audition because I got tangled up in the logistics of accepting the role. I would say, well, the project is out of town, so that means I would have to find a place to stay there while finding a subletter for my current apartment or just paying rent, and I'd have to quit my day job, and what if I miss out on opportunities in Chicago while I'm gone? And the list just went on and on. I finally took a step back and realized that this thought process was not doing me any favors because I was working out the details on a scenario that hadn't even happened yet. There was no guarantee that I was going to get any of the roles that I was submitting or even auditioning for, so at face value, by not even applying, I was forfeiting the opportunity to practice my audition skills, to meet new people who, even if they don't hire me for this particular project, may think of me for projects in the future, and get my name out in the arts community a little more. Everyone's path is different and unpredictable, and the acting industry is very unpredictable, so there is no use in denying yourself opportunities because they may not fall into the path that you have laid out for yourself. It's better to have options to choose from by just auditioning as much as you can and figuring out the logistical details later. Besides, a lot of the times I've found that the logistical details that I build up in my mind as being complicated and difficult to figure out end up being a lot simpler than I initially thought.